So this is Haris Bhatt, and you are seeing my YouTube channel Learn Accounting with Sir Haris. Today we are going to solve a question from AS Accounting, Control Account Reconciliation. And this question has come. This is very important for February, March 2025 also. This question has come in May, June 24, 23. So May, June 24, 23 means that in 2024 May, June, but the variant is 23. We have a question of control account reconciliation. Important thing in this question is this. First of all, Nadia maintains control accounts as part of the double entry system of her business. The purchase ledger and sale ledger contains memorandum accounts only. State 3 benefits of maintaining control accounts. Sir, what are memorandum accounts? Memorandum accounts means control accounts, right? Memorandum accounts means control accounts, right? State 3 benefits of maintaining control accounts. So the benefit is to check the arithmetic accuracy of ledger balance, then to locate errors and frauds. We can find the total trade receivables and trade payables to be written in the statement of financial position. We can find the total trade receivables and trade payables to be written in the statement of financial position. So this is one of the important questions of control accounts. But having said this, Shazmin, this is one of the easy questions also. Why, sir? Because this question carries 15 marks, but this question is basically comprised of two questions. One is the control account reconciliation for sales ledger, and one is the control account reconciliation of purchase ledger. So it means that we have gone to next level, that now we have to reconcile the purchase ledger control account also with purchase ledger balance. थोड़ा connection खराब हुआ है, कोई बात नहीं. We have to reconcile the control account, purchase ledger control account with the purchase ledger balance also. So this question contains two questions, one for sale ledger control account reconciliation and one for purchase ledger control account reconciliation. Sir, how we are going to prepare the purchase ledger control account reconciliation, which we haven't prepared yet? So forget about it. We are not dealing with that currently. We are just looking for the questions that how we will move on with this question, and then we'll see that how we are going to go for the adjustment regarding this particular question, right? Okay. So let's see. On 31st March 2024, Nadia found that the closing balance of the control accounts did not agree with the total of individual account balances in the purchases and sale ledger. So it means that the sale ledger control account and the sale ledger balance is not equal, and the purchase ledger control account and the purchase ledger balance is also not equal, right? So two things are also not equal. Just a minute. Just a minute. Okay. So purchase ledger control account balance is given 28540. Total of trade payables in the purchase ledger is given 31790. You should remember this. Nowadays, this should be equal because control accounts and the purchase ledger balance, they are the same. That both the things should be equal. But this is showing 28540. This is showing 31790. So it means that they are not equal. Yes, obviously, it is available. Same is the case with sale ledger control account balance 35790 and total of trade receivable in the sale ledger 36410. That is also not equal. So these two things are the same. So we have to make them equal. So there are two questions actually, one for control account reconciliation, one for purchase ledger control account reconciliation. Nadia discovered the following errors which accounted for the differences. So instead of going for the differences first, I will look at what will the examiner has asked us to prepare. So this is in front of you. Complete the following statement to correct the accounting records for trade payables, correction of purchase ledger control account balance, and correction of total of purchase ledger balance. I will not discuss this currently because we know that we are used to prepare the sale ledger control account reconciliation first because that is quite easy for us. So correction of sale ledger control account and correction of total of sale ledger balance. So let me write it down. We have already discussed that. I told you that there is no format of control account reconciliation. We discussed that already. So we can use any kind of format, right? So correction of control account and correction of sales ledger balance. But that's true that the question is not that lengthy. This question is not that lengthy. It's a simple question. And I will write here $, and I will write here sale ledger balance, the incorrect sale ledger balance. I will write here. And the control account balance I will write here, which is again the incorrect balance. Let's see. 35790, 36410. Okay. 35790 and 36410. Here I'm going to write the control account balance. Okay. That's fine. Which is wrong, obviously, because these two should have been equal. But they are not equal. It means there is a problem. So let's see the mistakes. The first mistake, which we have made on 24-23 is the paper. A credit note issued by Nadia for 490 had been entirely overlooked. First of all, we should be able to know that what is credit note. I told you that debit note and credit note are used for the return of goods. There are two types of return, Shazmeen. One is known as sales return. The other one, Aline, is known as purchase return. The entry for sales return is sales return debit and trade receivable credit. And for that particular return, which is sales return, we always issue credit note. So it means that credit note issued by Nadia, we are Nadia actually, the entry will be sales return debit and Nadia credit, or you may say not Nadia credit, trade receivable credit, whoever the trade receivable was. And the amount is going to be, what is the amount? 490. So we have entirely omitted this transaction. So if a transaction is wholly omitted from the books of account, it will be rectified both in control account and ledger balance. So we need to correct it in both control account and ledger balance. So how we are going to do that? In the entry, because it is omitted, it means that sales return has not been recorded. So it means that we have not credited trade receivable by 490. We have not credited sales return trade receivable by 490. So simple. Less sales return, because we have not subtracted sales return in the control account. We have not written it on the credit side. So I will write here 490, and it will also be subtracted from here. Less sales return, because if an entry is omitted, it will be rectified in both control account and ledger balance. And if an entry is wrongly recorded in the books of prime entry, it will again be rectified in both control account and ledger balance. It will affect both of them. But why, sir, it is subtracting? That is quite simple. Trade receivable is an asset. When there is going to be a sales return, trade receivable needs to be credited. Credit means that we are decreasing the trade receivable. We need to decrease the trade receivable, which is not yet done. So subtracted from the control account and subtracted from the sales return. Simple. Next is total of the purchase journal had been understated by 3250. Always remember that if there is an error in the total of books of prime entry, it will affect only control account. But this is not the error which is going to affect our question right now. How, sir? Because we are not preparing purchase control account. We are not preparing purchase ledger control account. We are not correcting the purchase ledger balance. So this entry deals with the purchases. We are currently dealing with the sale ledger control account and sale ledger balance. So we are least bothered about the second entry. Yes, it will be taken into account, but it will be taken into account when we are going to correct the purchase ledger control account and purchase ledger balance. So let's move forward. A check for 380 received from a credit customer had been dishonored by the bank. So many times we have discussed that, so many times, that whenever a check is dishonored, we'll pass the entry bank to trade receivable, and already the payment has been received, and now we have to go for the reverse entry, that is trade receivable to bank. This had been incorrectly recorded on the debit side of the cash book, but had been posted correctly to the ledger account. So it means that we have recorded it on the debit side of the cash book, but had been posted correctly to the ledger account. So first of all, we have to see that if check is received from a customer had been dishonored by the bank, how we are going to record this? We need to give it a credit, trade receivable debit and bank credit. But in the cash book, we have recorded it on the debit side. It means, see, we have to write the trade receivable debit and bank credit. This was the entry. But in the cash book, we have recorded cash book on the debit side. So rather than crediting bank, we have debited bank. It means that we have credited the trade receivables, which needs to be debited actually, but had been posted correctly to the ledger account. Individual ledger is correct. Individual account is already correct. So what we are going to do, it will come only in control account. It will be added in control account, but with the double amount. So it will come over here. Check received wrongly recorded on the, पूरा भी लिख सकते हैं, no problem, debit side of cash book. Let me explain you again. When you receive the amount from a check, entry will be bank to trade receivable, bank debit, trade receivable credit. But now, because the check is dishonored, we should have passed the entry trade receivable to bank. But instead of passing the entry trade receivable to bank, we have passed the entry bank to trade receivable. Right? So now we have to correct it because already a check receipt had been dishonored by the bank. This had been incorrectly recorded on the debit side of the cash book, but had been posted correctly to the ledger account. So control account, because the error is in the books of prime entry and the ledger account, individual account is correct. So it will written be over here only, and we will debit the trade receivable. It will be added with the double amount. So 380 plus 380, how much it will become? Can you tell me? Because the check received is 380. I can explain even more to you. Let's see. We have to write trade receivable on the debit side because of check dishonor. But we have written the trade receivable on the credit side. So now I have to debit trade receivable once for the correction and once for to record it on the debit side. So trade receivable is going to be debited with the double amount. So how much it will become? Please. We will add it. 380 plus 380. I think 760. So the answer is going to be 760. Next, an error of original entry had occurred when a purchase invoice for 4650 had been recorded as 5640. It will not be affected. Why? Because we are not preparing sales ledger control account reconciliation. It is completely, it has to dealt through purchase ledger control account reconciliation. Interest of 70 charge on an overdue customer's account had been credited to the customer account. So this is the error made in the individual customer, right? Clearly, it has been stated that it has been credited to the customer account, 70. See, what is interest on overdue account? We have to take some amount from a customer, but he has asked us that I can't pay the amount. So we basically disclosed him that we will charge more interest from you. We should have passed the entry trade receivable to interest because now we have to take 70 more. Now, what we have done, trade receivable should have been debited, but we have given a credit to trade receivable, credited to the customer account, individual account. So instead of writing the trade receivable on the debit side, like here, I have to write it on the debit side, like here. I have written it on the credit side over here, 70. So now, I will 70, it will be debited. And again, the 70 is going to be debited. So trade receivable will be added by 140. But it is added in the individual account, not in the control account. So I will write interest on overdue account wrongly. What happened? Wrongly. हमने डेबिट करना था, हमने क्रेडिट कर दिया. Yes, wrongly credited. Okay. Right? So 140. I will add into this to find the correct amount of the. Now you can go for the calculation for the answer. If you can do this for me, what answer we'll get. I will again I will try to make you understand again so that you won't find any trouble in this. So the answer is going to be 36060. A corrected answer of sale ledger control account is 36060. And this is the same answer we'll write over here, 36060. So both the control account and the sale ledger balance are now correct. Let's try to repeat it. A credit note issued by Nadia 490 had been entirely overlooked. This is the entry for sales return. Sales return debit, trade receivable credit. We have not passed this entry, so it will be rectified in both control accounts, subtracted from here and subtracted from the ledger balance also. Next is total of purchase journal. It will not come because it has nothing to do with the sale ledger control account. Check received 380, received from a customer. The entry will be bank to trade receivable, has already been done. Now it is going to be dishonored. We have to pass the reverse entry, trade receivable to bank. But instead of passing the entry trade receivable to bank, we have passed the entry bank to trade receivable. Sir, how you will be able to know that? Listen, this had been incorrectly recorded on the debit side of cash book. It means that we have debit bank and credit trade receivable, but posted correctly to the ledger account. जो individual account है, that is already correct. इसका मतलब क्या हुआ कि जो ये वाली साइड है बेटा, इस एंट्री में ये बिल्कुल ठीक है, ये वाली साइड सिर्फ गलती कैश बुक में हो रही है, तो कैश बुक में गलती हो रही है तो कंट्रोल अकाउंट इफेक्ट हो रहा है सर। तो आप ट्रेड रिसीवेबल को एक दफा डेबिट करेंगे, दोबारा डेबिट करेंगे तो 760 से आपको ऐड करना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि ट्रेड रिसीवेबल को डेबिट करने का मतलब है ट्रेड रिसीवेबल को इंक्रीज करना, लेकिन वो सिर्फ कंट्रोल अकाउंट में आएगा। इसी तरह नेक्स्ट एंट्री विच इज द इंटरेस्ट चार्ज ऑन द ओवरड्यू कस्टमर अकाउंट, we have to take more 70 from the trade receivable, which is basically taking more time to pay. So we are charging interest, which is an income, and trade receivable will increase by 70. So I have to debit 70, but instead of debiting 70, I have given it a credit. Now I'm going to debit it once for the correction, for the cancellation, and once to record on it on the debit side. लेकिन ये गलती भी इंडिविजुअल अकाउंट में हो रही है सिर्फ, तो ये सिर्फ इधर आएगी, interest on overdue account wrongly credited 140, and the both answers are going to be correct again. अब पूछे मुझसे जो प्रॉब्लम कुछ नहीं है, मैं दोबारा रिपीट कर देता हूं। अच्छा, आप ये बात कह सकते हैं कि सर ये डेबिट साइड पे जो बैंक की आया है तो उसने कहाँ लिखा है कि ट्रेड रिसीवेबल जो है वो क्रेडिट हो गए? बेटा मतलब यही है ना कि आपने करनी थी ट्रेड रिसीवेबल डेबिट और बैंक क्रेडिट। तो आपने बैंक को डेबिट कर दिया, इट मीन्स कि आपने ट्रेड रिसीवेबल को क्रेडिट किया है। कैश बुक के वाले से बात हो रही है, इंडिविजुअल अकाउंट में आपने उसको ठीक लिखा है, ठीक है। तो जब गलती कैश बुक में, यानी आप ये कह लें कि बुक्स ऑफ प्राइम एंट्री में होगी, तो इट विल बी रेक्टिफाइड बोथ इन कंट्रोल अकाउंट एंड लेजर बैलेंस, तो दोनों में उसको रिकॉर्ड किया जाएगा। नेक्स्ट चलते हैं जी, अब हम वी हैव टू प्रिपेयर द परचेज लेजर कंट्रोल अकाउंट रिकॉन्सिलिएशन। सो दैट इज क्वाइट सिंपल। वो मैं आई जस्ट वांट टू प्रिपेयर इट ऑन द स्पॉट where the question has been written. So I'm going to prepare it on the same scenario. First of all, let's see. This is the purchase ledger control account balance 28540. Always remember, purchase ledger is basically control account is a trade payable account, and trade payable balance is always having a credit balance. Total of trade payable in purchase ledger, this is also a trade payable account. It is always having a credit balance again. So 28540 and 31790. These should be equal, but they are not equal because there are errors. So I have written incorrect balance of control account 28540, incorrect total of purchase ledger balance 31790. But remember, these are trade payables. It is always having a credit balance. So it means that if we have to give it a credit, if the trade payables are going to credit, it will be added. And if it is going to be debited, it will be subtracted, because trade payables normal balance is credit. So there are only two entries, beta. Total of purchase journal had been understated by 3250. So you have recorded total, means that the error is in the total of books of prime entry, which will affect only control account. Understate means that you have recorded the credit purchases less than the actual amount by 3250. So what you will do, it will come only in the control account. Trade payables per entry will be purchases to trade payable. But trade payables, this entry has not been passed. So I will write here credit purchases, or you can write purchase journal undercast. Means the trade payables are recorded, not recorded. So it will be added 3250. These are the trade payables which are not yet added in the control account because the error is in the total. Right? Next is, sir, why added? Okay. What is the entry for credit purchases? Purchases debit, trade payable, credit. When the trade payables are going to credit, it means that trade payables are increasing because it's a liability. So that's why trade payables, when increasing, it will be added. Second entry which affect this particular purchase invoice, an error of original entry had occurred when a purchase invoice for 4650 had been recorded as 5640. Purchase invoice means again it is a credit purchases because invoice is a document which is used when the goods are sold or purchased on credit. So we have to pass the entry purchases to trade payable 4650, but it had been recorded as 5640. Let me write it down. I have to pass the entry purchases 4650, trade payable credit 4650. Okay. But instead of writing this, I have passed the entry with 5640. So what I have done purchases debit 5640 and trade payable credit 5640. Remember this, we are correcting only trade payables, not purchases. So trade payables has to be credited by 4650, but we have credited trade payables by 5640. It means कि हमने ज्यादा से क्रेडिट कर दिया. जब ज्यादा से क्रेडिट किया तो जितना ज्यादा क्रेडिट किया है नॉरेज आपको उतनी अमाउंट से डेबिट करना पड़ेगा. और डेबिट करने का मतलब है कि ट्रेड पेबल में से क्या होगी, कमी होगी, वो सब्ट्रैक्शन होगी, वो माइनस होगा, वो डिक्रीज होगा. तो पहले इसका डिफरेंस निकाल लेते हैं हम. क्या डिफरेंस आ जाएगा, 4650 minus 5640, that is 990. So 990 is going to be subtracted from both from both sides. सर ये क्या बात हुई, why both sides? देखें, an error of original entry, amounts are wrong, had occurred when a purchase invoice had been recorded as 5640. It means the whole entry in the books of prime entry has recorded as 5640. So when a transaction is wholly omitted or wrongly entered in the books of prime entry, it will affect both control account and ledger balance. But what I will do, I will subtract it from here on for both the accounts. So let's see. Let's do it over here. Let's purchase invoice overcast. You can write anything. That's not a big deal. Just you have to write the correct. And over here also, I will write less purchase invoice overcast. I will subtract it from here, right? And you will then get the answer. So what is the answer? Can you please tell me? The corrected answer for the purchase ledger control account and the corrected answer for the purchase ledger balance. So it will come 30,800, and this will also come 30,800. So both the sides are now equal. So we are done with this, and we have calculated it quite easily. So this was not that difficult. Okay. So these are the small parts which needs to be solved, and we have solved this. If you have any problem, you can ask me. But as I discussed with you, this is basically a trade payable account. Purchase ledger control account is a trade payable account of all the trade payables, a combined account of all the trade payables. Whereas purchase ledger balance is a trade payable account of individual trade payables, and then the total of those balances will become the list of purchase ledger balances or total of purchase ledger balances. So we have done the both things. Contra accounts sometimes contain contra entries. Explain why contra entries may be made in control accounts. Because a trade receivable sometimes happen to be our trade payable also. So we will decrease the trade payable PLCA debit and SLCA is going to be credited with the same amount, because the same person is happened to be our trade payable also, and is happened to be our trade receivable also. So we used to cancel the lesser amount, because now he is no more my trade payable. So PLC or trade payable is going to be debited, decrease in liability, and SLC is going to be credited because he is no more my trade receivable. So trade receivable is going to be credited. Same person. So we are basically cancelling out the things. जो पैसे आपने किसी को देने और लेने हैं, तो आप कहते हैं ना मैं लेता हूं ना मैं देता हूं, तो क्या होगा? आपका ट्रेड पेबल भी डिक्रीज कर जाएगा और आपका ट्रेड रिसीवेबल भी डिक्रीज कर जाएगा. So this is the question which has come in May, June 24, 30, 23, and I have solved this question for you, which is not that difficult at all. So we are done with that. Today we will just do this. Inshallah, on Thursday, I will again take class for the control account reconciliation, and we will do some more questions. But if I want to do something for the homework, if you want to ask anything, you can ask me also. Let me give you something for question for the homework, which is not that difficult. Obviously, that will also be a normal question. So this is the question. Okay, the paper is not written correctly. This is October, November 13, 22. This is wrong actually. Control account balance is given 63350, 63530. Total of individual 61140. And these are the entries which has been, you have to go through, and you have to prepare the corrected sale as a control account, and then the statement to reconcile the statement to reconcile the sale ledger balance. Right? So I want you to solve this question. If you won't be able to find it, so I think you should take a pic so that it will become easy for you to handle the question. ये पूरा ही है इसके साथ. ओके, हम इसकी पिकअप ले लें. बट द year mentioned is wrong actually. That is October, November 1322 or 1322. Yes. So any question, you can ask any question now. Today what we have done, we have gone for another step actually. We have also gone for the purchase ledger control account reconciliation, but very simple problems or calculations were there. So you can do this question, and then on Thursday I will do one more question with along with the purchase ledger actually, again along with the purchase ledger, and then I will solve one question more, which is going to be a little difficult one, and that's it. So we are done with this chapter then. Thank you very much. So do solve this question again, just for the practice, whatever I have done actually, May, June 24, so that you can find it little easier to handle that. If there is still problem, then you can start from the control account reconciliation from my YouTube channel, and then you will be able to analyze the things, because if you don't know the errors, obviously you can find problem. Okay, thank you very much. Take care.